Cody, SuperCoze.
Hello.
Glad to have you all on today.
Glad to be here.
And Eli, I was going to say, we have to introduce everybody too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Eli. I drum.
Eli's the drummer. Eli also plays everything though, so.
I try.
And I'm Cody, aka SuperCoze. We were also in a band called Bananigans together. And then Eli is now also drummer and bassist for SuperCoze temporarily until we find another drummer. So
sweet. Yeah. Making music. How does it feel to be doing that again now?
It's been interesting. I feel like I'm not alone in that. Being creative this past year has definitely been a little difficult. I feel like everyone went into the pandemic being like, I'm going to release like 6 albums. I got all the time in the world. And then it was like, oh, I made a chord progression I liked, I guess. And then
about sitting in a room staring at the ceiling
Yeah.
because we can't live our lives really or do
Yeah.
anything that we were used to doing before all this. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels kind of like the sun's coming out a little bit.
Yeah.
And like some live shows are happening again, like outside. And that's been kind of like encouraging. And I don't know, it feels like the ball's getting rolling again.
You all played the one at the Garden the other week.
Yeah, on Earth Day.
Yeah.
We played the Black Earth Day event.
Bananigans gig.
Bananigans. We played for, what was it, like 5 hours?
5 hours.
How did that feel?
Time flew. Honestly, you know, they say when you're having fun, time flies. And it was awesome.
We had like drinks all around us, like orange juice and water and like random snacks and like shoes on the floor. Like I think we got really too comfortable on the stage.
We had like a rotating crowd because people would come in, you know, as the hours would go. And it was cool to feel different energies in the space. So,
The
yeah.
preschool came out. They were the most demanding audience. They were like, another one. Like 2 seconds after the last song, another one. And they're sweet.
Yeah. Little gems.
What is we probably are gonna have 2 more shows this month. So
Okay.
yeah, and then
When are those coming up?
they're
not set in
they're
stone
in the
just yet.
works.
Okay. Yeah.
They're in the works.
Yeah. Tentative with all this stuff, you know, now.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. For SuperCoze, there is going to be a gig that I'll be playing where my friend is putting something together for Mental Health Month because it's May, which is Mental
Okay.
Health Awareness Month. And like I guess a lot of SuperCoze songs do like kind of revolve around like themes around mental health. So I was like, oh, like that's on brand. But yeah, and then I just got asked this morning to play for the Rain City Rock Camp, which Eli will be
Okay.
playing with me, and that's going to be in July. So they do like a little thing, I guess, where like you play a show for the campers and then you just like talk about making music, I guess. And so it'll be a live stream, but I think it'll still be cool.
Rain City Rock Camp's a fun one. I think I've heard about that where
Yeah.
a few people that I've talked with have worked for that or guest performed at that. What can you tell us about Rain City Rock Camp?
I know that it's like a youth program. I think it is curated towards like girls, but I
Yeah.
think they also have a pretty big emphasis on like gender inclusive stuff and like talking about different kinds of identities. So like for example, we're both non-binary, so I'm sure they're not just going to say like, no, not you though. Like I think Rain City Rock Camp is like very much in the know about like that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's going to be a really welcoming space. And I've like talked to a few of the camp counselors there, and they always seem like really into the program. So
They're a great
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
I've worked with them before.
Okay.
And I did a camp. They have an adult version of their camp
I
as
didn't know
well.
they had an adult version.
Yeah, actually, I joined a lotto band last year before the world ended.
Oh,
And it was fun. Played a show, got to know people, and did workshops and things like that. And they were pretty inclusive.
that's cool. Is
So-
there like an age limit, or
Nope.
I should do that? That'd be fun.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
Yeah, and that's cool to have like more spaces like that because I've always said like it's a really good thing when you know you grow up, you become an adult, and it becomes very hard to find very like casual settings like that.
Yeah.
You know, where you can just go and just meet people and mix around, have fun, make
Doesn't have to
music.
be a bar.
It doesn't have to be a bar. It's not going to cost you $20.
Yeah.
It becomes harder sometimes as you get older to find spots like that.
I feel like that's one of my favorite parts about music is like it is a really cool way to like meet people that like maybe you wouldn't just meet them at like work or school. Like it's like people specifically like in this scene creating something together where you're like, hey, we all have this like love for something, and like you can like connect with people. And I don't know, I feel like in our band, for example, I feel like each one of us has like our own interesting network of people who are all like, I feel like pretty artsy and like friendly, and then you like bring that together, like everyone comes out to a show and then people like make friends, and it gets a little larger.
And it's something that's very hard to appreciate on social media too, because it's like, when you're in that, I feel like, your tendency is not to like get on your phone and be like, oh, look what I'm doing and stuff like that. You're just having fun and living in the moment.
Yeah.
Making sounds with people around you. And like,
Exactly.
imagine that.
It's been hard about the pandemic because I feel like a lot of artists were like forced to just be online because I feel like I like being on the internet. Like there's a lot of fun, but there can be too much internet. It definitely can be a place where you're like, I need to take a step back because like when all of your networking and creating is online, it gets like a little disconnected. I feel like it's really refreshing to have like a balance where like you can go to a show and you connect with people, and then after you come home and then you're like, oh, here's like the people I met, and then you make more connections. But like when it's just online, then it gets a little like suffocating.
And the energy is completely different. I mean, you could plan your set list for a live stream and then plan the same set list for a live show, and it'll be completely different because of how you're feeling with the energy from the crowd and like all of that. You might add something, you might subtract something, but it's just interesting to see the difference between like that energy.
You can't banter.
Yeah, you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah, I did like a live stream radio show for Seattle U, and there was like I think 5 people in the room. Normally it's like a live performance, and after each song, I could tell they were like, should we clap? And there's just like this awkward like. And I still thought it was cute, but like it was kind of funny in the video. Like normally there'd be like an audience, but instead it was just like
you just hear one clap in the back.
Thank you.
That's something that's fascinating for me, that I really was excited to talk to you all about too, because I feel like you all are from that generation where it's like you grew up Instagram, you grew up online. I mean, I know for me, I mean, even like when I grew up in the 90s, it felt like I went outside, but
that's what the early 2000s felt like. I think there was a really big shift that happened like as we became teenagers.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I was just talking about this with my friend the other day. I was like, I wonder what it's like for kids these days. Because even when I'm only like 23, but like, when I was like 10, I spent like all day outside and like riding bikes with my friends.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I just never spent even time in my room. I was just like outside all the time. And then I was like, I feel like a lot of kids spend time inside now.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of dystopian. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about things like mental health and, like what kind of an impact that has on it, which is like, I mean, it's scary to me. I know it's not the most exciting stuff to talk about.
Well, I mean, they've done studies
on
like mental health of like, for example, like young girls, they saw a rise in anxiety and depression correlating to social media usage. And I was thinking about like that statistic applying to people I know. And even myself, I was like, oh, when did like I really start to feel like more anxious? And I was like, it was kind of around 12 or 13, which I feel like is natural also with just like that age. But like having it also like, I was like, that was the same year I got Facebook. And I was like, is it connected? Facebook. I don't know. I guess now Facebook's like the parent app.
Facebook is like MySpace now.
Yeah. People are like, what's Facebook? I got Facebook just so I could have chickens on that farm game.
Oh, I remember that.
That's old school Facebook.
I remember that.
I just really liked the way the chickens looked. I just wanted like 50 chickens in like a plot of land.
Oh, those were the fun days of Facebook before it
or
got,
the poke fights.
Oh yeah, I remember pokes. I always got kind of overwhelmed by it. Like, am I supposed to poke you back? Is that rude if I don't poke you back?
I forgot that even existed. Wow.
That's funny. I made a MySpace when I was 10 because my sister had one. I knew how to like code the background.
Okay.
But I also should have not had a MySpace because I was like 9.
Yeah. It's supposed to be at least 13, and even that feels a little weird for me, like on that side. I remember.
But it was cool. You could like make a playlist on your page and.
Yeah, it was a music medium.
Yeah.
That's what I miss about it. It's just like we lost all that with Facebook. Now it's like Facebook is like, okay, college kids just fight over politics or something like that, And it's like.
It's an interesting whirlpool. I don't know.
I still have a MySpace, actually.
You have a MySpace?
Yeah. It's out there.
Are you friends with Tom?
Of course.
Do you remember that guy? I think he's the creator.
Oh.
He's like.
Just for the record, Eli, you do not remember MySpace, Tom?
No.
Wow.
He was like the guy that's like, there's like a whiteboard in front of him or behind him, and he's like.
No, I have no idea.
I don't know if anyone actually really knows.
I created my MySpace when I was in high school, which was not too long ago. And it was because my friends and I were trying to like bring it back. So we were telling everyone, hey, get a MySpace.
That's funny.
We were trying to like have this like secret MySpace clique.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I tried to bring swag back. I kept telling people like, you should just be like swag, like, but seriously, like not ironically.
That's so swaggy.
That's so swaggy. I don't think it's picked up.
I haven't heard swag in a while.
Like, stop trying to make fetch a thing. It's not going to happen.
I do want to ask you about this because I feel like you're the most, out of all the people I know, all the musicians I've talked with on this program, in terms of Instagram and TikTok savviness, like you're on there.
I try. Really? TikTok is still really intimidating for me. I mostly use it to watch cat videos.
Okay.
But Instagram is fun and also chaotic because it's like there's two ways you could go about it. You could get like really sucked into like the numbers and like the engagement.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, I'm going to try and have fun and I'm going to interact with people and I'm going to see where it goes. Because if you get too caught up in the numbers, it'll just suck out your soul. Which I feel like, like it happens to people, even people who aren't trying to like grow a following. Like I feel like that numerical validation can really like get at you. Like it's designed to do that. Like I watched this documentary where they were talking about how you're on there so that ads could be, like shown to you. So like we are the product. Yeah. And they want to increase the amount of screen time you have so you're like sucked into it. And so when I was thinking about it like that, I was like, well, like fuck that. Like I can log off when I want to. And so I had like this battle of like turning the app off, and that was kind of refreshing. And I came back to it with this new mindset of like, I'm doing it for me and to connect with people, not for people to like think I'm doing a good job. Because like what even is a good job? It's all relative.
And this is an interesting question for me, which is how much of that do you feel like has come back to help or elevate your music versus how much of it has just been like social media engagement for its own sake? Because we as musicians always get that like foisted upon us, like, oh, you have to be on Instagram, you have to be on TikTok, MySpace, whatever the new one is today.
It's definitely, I've had phases where I just get really like, oh, this is so dumb. Like, I don't want to have to do this. Like for example, like 2 years ago, I feel like I really didn't know what I was doing with like Instagram. Like I was just kind of like, oh, this is confusing. Like, why can't I just post a picture of my cat and that gets like enough views? Like, why don't people want to see this? And then I kind of had to teach myself like the business around it, which, sometimes it can be fun, like to learn like how to be your own manager, be your own like social media coordinator. But I feel like at the end of the day, like if I focus too much on like the online stuff, it does take away from like my ability to create, because I'll get in my head like I don't want to have to make something and be like, oh well, I have to post that. And so sometimes I do just like make something for the sake of making it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put it out there, because like if I'm making it for the purpose of like showing it to people, then I feel like it's gonna lose some of like what I wanted out of it. But then sometimes, like it depends though, because sometimes it does push me to be more like on my game, I guess. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, like don't mess up this line when I'm painting something. Like I'll be like, make it look like really good. And then like at the end, I'm like, I pushed myself. I did it. So I guess it really depends on like the mindset you have in that time. Like still do it for you though.
And that's fascinating for me to hear, because I feel like you do better with followers and engagement than pretty much every band I talk to.
Thanks.
And you're like the most like, don't give a fuck, just do whatever.
That's kind of how I feel about most things.
Yeah. And then it's like every other band I know that it's like every post is like big news coming soon, or like, check out our album, or a picture of like from the last live show they played like a year ago. Like, we're going to be playing shows again. It's like the whole thing is an advertisement.
Yeah. I mean, people can tell when you're like advertising to them, like, and like I'll try and I think my main focus more is like, how can I make this rainbow? If I can make it colorful, it's good enough for me.
You're doing it.
You do an amazing job with that.
You.
Because when I scroll through like your whole page, like on Instagram, I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed right now.
I hope in a good way.
I feel like that. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but that dog in the popsicle commercial from like 20 years ago, where he's like, the colors, but the dog's colorblind, and that's like the joke of it or whatever.
I don't think I've seen that commercial.
Okay, I'm giving away my age. That was like a late 90s thing, but anyways.
Are dogs all colorblind?
Yeah, dogs are
so
colorblind.
I've heard.
I thought they could see green.
Maybe
Maybe that's cats.
I've always wondered how people know that.
That's true. Like, how do they know? Like, can they do like a test? Like, do they have the A with like the red A and the green circle? Like, and the dog's like, I can't see it.
I just imagine a dog just looking at something and just looking like a dog, and then science is like, yes, this means colorblind.
I once made a fake colorblind test on YouTube when I was like 10. I like purposely messed with it, and all these people were like, I'm not colorblind. and sometimes I still get like, it was like my most well-viewed video I ever made. Like hundreds of people were pissed. They're like, I'm not colorblind. Why would someone do this?
Like, how colorblind are you really?
Yeah, I was like, if you got this out of this many answers wrong, you're colorblind.
And this is what always drives me nuts when people like preach at musicians about how much they need to be on social media. Cause I'm just like, do you even understand what is entertaining on the internet?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be me putting out like, here's my new song or something like that. It's going to be like, what color is the dress?
What is it? Oh yeah, I remember that. That's funny.
Darn dress.
Yeah. So it's like, you're telling me like, we're supposed to take this seriously as musicians.
See, that's what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
you got to take yourself seriously only to the point of like getting yourself to do something.
Yeah.
Like, because, some like in the pandemic, for example, I was like frustrated, like, oh, like I'm having a hard time songwriting, and like my mental health was having a hard time with just like the general state of the world. And then I was like, oh, just chill out. Like, you'll come back to it when you come back to it. And I was like, just rest. But then I did a little too much of that, and I needed like a little bit of more discipline with practicing, because I was like, oh my God, I haven't played my guitar in like weeks. So you got to have that balance where you're not just like waiting for inspiration to just come out of nowhere, because like I feel like that's the hard thing for artists is like you just like are waiting for inspiration to come, and sometimes you gotta like make it happen. Like,
you gotta hunt it down.
Yeah, or like put yourself in situations where you're gonna feel like inspired. Like that's another reason I do like Instagram, is because, or like TikTok, for example, because I'll see people creating and they're like making all kinds of amazing art, and like, if you're not coming into the mindset of like, oh, I'm going to compare myself to this art, but more like I'm going to be inspired by it. Like, there's a lot of artwork to be inspired by, or like music. And then you can like take those elements and apply it to your own like creative process. And then you have like your own thing going on.
When I listen to your music, it feels very natural. Like it just flows out of you every time I've listened to like the records or anything like that. And I know there's a lot going on there, but like the best musicians are the ones where you listen to it and you're not thinking about like, oh, like how technical they are, how they're playing. It's just like, this just feels like a very natural form of expression. I'm curious, like, I mean, this is a question for both of you, but where does that inspiration come from, where you want to write songs or play drums, whatever it is that you want to do? Where does that come from? How does that start? Whoever wants to go first here.
Or I guess to answer like in terms of like the SuperCoze stuff, pretty much all of the music has been like improvised for like as the songwriting process. So like usually what I do is like I put my phone down, and I'll usually like hide the fact that I'm recording, because like if you think too much about how you're recording, then you're like and then like it really started out with me just like playing like guitar, ukulele, and like coming up with like a little chord progression and then like singing on top of it. And usually I find that sometimes like the best times I've been able to do that is like kind of when I'm like going through something and I have like a lot I need to like get out. Cause like it's kind of like journaling. Like you just really need to like get something out. And then like the words kind of like find themselves, and you could like rhyme things. But sometimes I even would just like do gibberish but have like a melody, and then like later on I'll assign like words to those like gibberish sounds. But I tend to feel best when like I can just like improv the whole thing, because I feel like the more you do it, the like easier it gets. You just like, it makes you feel like good about it. Sometimes I thought it was like cheating to write music like that. Like I'm not just gonna sit down and be like, oh, I'm gonna have like a whole theme and have like I don't know any music theory. I definitely am pretty envious of people that are like, I'm gonna make an entire like progression of sounds right now with my knowledge of which notes to put, because I feel like that's a good skill set to have when you're like jamming with people, to know. Like, for example, our piano player George will be like, what key is this in? And I'll be like, George, I have no idea. I just played a note and I liked the way it sounded, but
Shout out to George.
Shout out to George.
Furious George.
Furious George.
That was a name I gave him the other day, and I think it stuck.
Yeah.
That's fascinating though to me, because like when I listen to your music, I'm hearing all these like to me anyways, it feels like, these jazzy chord progressions and stuff like that.
I do like
this,
jazz a lot.
I was going to say, like, I almost had you taken for like a jazz school kid or something like that.
Thank you.
But I don't, okay, I guess I'm wrong then.
I don't know how to read music. Thank you though. I think, if you think about it though, like a lot of jazz, I feel like relies on that like improvisation. I think that's the word. And I think that like part of it, like I'll always remember this one Lyft driver that was like, life is a song. Like we're improvising right now. Like this conversation's jazz. And I was like, ooh, I like that. Like life is like constant improv. And I just think that you can make something sound put together if you just like play it off. Like for example, we played our Earth Day show with Bananigans, and I think agreed to that show like a week or a week and a half before it happened. And we have only been practicing as a band for like a little over a month. So we don't even technically have like a fully finished song. And we played for 5 hours because we made up like 90% of the set. Yeah. And I realized that I think the audience was like thinking we had just like had like a whole set list until we got to the point where we were like, hey, like give me 2 ideas and mash them together and we'll make a song about it. Like someone was like sunny frogs or Pepsi and skateboarding. And then I think that's when they were like, oh, they're making this up
freestyling
right now. Like,
and that's the interesting thing, because at 5 hours, I mean, that's really more like, I feel like a busking gig at that point.
Well, it was kind of, we did busk technically.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to like get on a stage and for like 3 hours. I mean, no audience is going to last for 3 hours at live music. Unless it's like a festival
was at
or
least 1 or 2 people that lasted.
Maybe 1 or 2.
They had
the whole entire time.
They had a cat too.
Oh yeah, friend of mine.
Well, I know at this point for me, like I don't care who's playing at this point. Like I just went out the other week, Shayna Shepherd and Beverly Crusher were at Jimi Hendrix Park. And I remember going out to that one. And I'm just like, I don't care how, I don't care how fumbling the production is. I don't care like what it sounds like right now. I'm going to be out here and I'm just going to be having the time of my life no matter what, because I'm never going to take this for granted.
She's an amazing singer.
Oh, Shayna Shepherd.
Shayna's got the voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like and she's got the inflection too. Like you listen to Shayna, it's like, it's kind of like that rough around the edges thing, a little bit, but that's, again, it's like, there's soul there. It's like, this is coming from a very real place of inspiration, whatever that is, wherever that
we
goes.
played a live stream together technically. I mean, I didn't get to talk to her. It wasn't like I was at a show and I said hi to her, but we were on the same live stream for the NAMI East Side thing. That was for, and then I also saw her perform for King Youngblood's event at Chop.
Yes.
And she was really good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seattle has so many good, like, that's why you're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, pretty much. I have no shortage of folks to get to around here. So
it's fun when I see your playlists and I'm like, oh, there's like some friends bands. There's another friend. Like, it's fun being like in this little collective.
Yeah. I mean, that was the motivation for me to want to do it. I was just like, when I really started digging into this stuff, I'm like, there were so many amazing records out here. And it's like, and I think to their credit, I mean, Ava Walker, KEXP, they deserve a lot of credit for putting the spotlight on this stuff. And they're, Dan Ray from Dan's Tunes. There are a lot of other people that work to get this stuff out there. But I'm like, man, I got to throw my hat in the ring too. Like, we just got to get all this music out there.
Love the music.
Yeah, exactly. Eli, I kind of want to ask you this, but like, how did you get into playing music with drums and everything?
Well, I grew up playing music with just curiosity of trying to get my hands on everything. Yeah. And I started out with guitar. That was my first instrument. And, throughout school and all that, I was involved in like music programs and all that. And I just, it's just this growing curiosity that I have. If I see an instrument, like I'm going to play it.
You just got to mess with it.
Yeah. And when I was about 19 is when I started playing drums. I've always wanted to, but that's a tough one. Living at home with your parents. Yeah. They're just like, no, that's loud. We don't want it. And so
we want you to be artistic. We just don't want to be bothered by it.
Play music, but we don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
So at the time I was working at this music shop, and there was this dude, and he was a drum instructor, and he was like, "Oh, I could just give you a few lessons. We could set like a tiny drum set up in your garage, and I'll just teach you the basics." And I said, "Okay." So I did that for a little while until my parents got tired of it, and then I kind of stopped for a while. And like once I got that locked in, it never left. And so I've had the opportunity to play like a marching snare for lots of things around the city over the past year, and just the rhythm and like all of that, like the energy that you can give to people is so powerful. And a lot of people have told me like just hearing a drum changes everything, changes the entire mood. And so so I just got a drum set. I mean, someone gave it to me, someone in the community gave it to me, and I built it and just started playing it, and I just want to keep playing it.
Hell yeah. Especially live too. There's like an energy with acoustic drums that you just don't get from a drum machine, like no matter how well it's done or something like that. You know, that response that I almost describe it as like a primal urge in us, you know, you hear that rhythm and you feel it in your chest and it's happening in real time. It doesn't always sound great necessarily, but that don't matter. It's more about, like I said, just the energy of hearing it and knowing that it's happening in real time, seeing that process play out. You know, and it doesn't have to sound pristine. It's like, you know, we feel that as human beings. And it's almost like it just reaches into your chest and just grabs you and makes you want to move with it.
And there's such a beautiful nuance there as well. Like when we were playing the Earth Day show, I was, at a certain point, I was just watching my friends dance in the crowd. Yeah. And watching them dance influenced the way I played the drums. Yes. So it was so cool.
I feel like I know what moment you're talking about. Yeah. That was a good moment.
This is something that I feel like it's very hard to appreciate, again, for like, you know, people that have kind of grown up their whole lives on like social media versus like we have a privilege as musicians to kind of experience those moments, you know, in reality. And it almost like it makes you a better drummer too, because it's like the audience's energy kind of pulls you in a certain direction. Absolutely. You learn how to feed that. You can always tell the sound of a drummer that's like that grew up like playing in front of people, not just playing like alone in a practice room or something, but it's like the energy of human beings feeds into you and it shapes the music too, and like how you play. And it's a whole experience. And like, unless you've done that, even if you've only done it like one time live, you know, you could still experience that and appreciate it. It's such a powerful thing for me.
Have you always played drums or have you played other instruments too?
I just got started on drums. My dad tried to buy me a classical guitar when I was about 4 years old, just like a little toy one. Oh, early. And the problem is I didn't know about fretting notes or anything like that. So I would just pick it up and like hit all the strings at the same time.
I don't know if 4-year-olds have the coordination to.
It sounded terrible. And I was just like, well, fuck this. This is stupid. Whatever. And then about 5 years later is when my family, this was in the 90s, but we got cable television and MTV. That was like my first introduction to music that was like actually happening then. And I saw Taylor Hawkins, who plays with the Foo Fighters now, but he played in Alanis Morissette's live band at the time before that. And he was in the video for You Ought to Know, like rocking out in the back. Taylor's a very visual player, you know, and just like, you know, they just have like just that one camera frame of him like headbanging for that 2 seconds. I just saw that as a kid and I was just like, that looks fun. Whatever he's doing, I want to be doing that. Yeah, I want to try that. So I got into that. And then when I played in school band programs, they always forced me to learn marimba and classical percussion because my teachers didn't know how to give me, this is way before School of Rock, you know, nobody knew how to give me like a grade for playing a drum set. So they're like, here's a xylophone. That's sticks, right? That's close enough.
It's
okay.
Percussion.
Yeah. Learn that. So I was sort of forced into learning like melodic stuff and everything. I mean, it's kind of a blessing because that's how I learned theory and chord progressions and stuff that did kind of help me years later as a session player and stuff like that. But I don't know. I was just, at the end of the day, I like playing drums.
You wanted to rock out.
Exactly. Like I tried like 4 different times to learn guitar and teach myself guitar. And like I could appreciate the basics, but not like at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a drummer. So.
That's awesome.
Love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Part of what's fun about Bananigans is we do like a little like musical chair like rotation because I think everyone in the band can play a little bit of each other's instruments. And so like, for example, we got halfway through the set and then I could tell like we're all getting like a little tired. And then I was like, Eli, you want to switch? And then Eli went on guitar and Mike and I did the drums. And Eli is like definitely like way more advanced at drums than I am, but I've never played. I've never really had an opportunity to play a show like that on drums. And being in the seat and like being like behind everyone, like it's like you feel kind of safe. You're like, no matter what happens, I got the drums right here. And like you don't, because like I always thought it would be like nerve-wracking to have like that much sound people can hear and like holding the rhythm, but like I feel like once you've been playing music for a while, like the rhythm like kind of like carries itself.
It does kind of require an element of like, I don't care how annoyed people are about to get by this. I'm just going to sit down here and start playing a beat. And whoever wants to start dancing, stay here. Whoever doesn't, get out.
It does feel good when someone starts dancing to like the beat you're playing. You're like, I'm creating this dance right now. They're dancing to the
it's a communication. It's communication.
It's like a conversation or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of my motivation to do the podcast is like, I feel like in my lifetime, I've gotten to experience that feeling of, you know, like you look out and there's like hundreds of people bouncing up and down to like every time my kick drum or snare drum like lands and it's coming out of the subs. And you just feel like everybody is like one in the moment with that.
That's beautiful.
And it's just like trying to make sure that the next generation too has that same opportunity to experience that stuff, because there's nothing like it. And it's, in my opinion, way funner than TikTok or Instagram. But
I just think of like Phil Collins playing with Genesis at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Honestly, Phil Collins is a main reason why I play drums.
Yeah.
So powerful, and like just like there's that unique sound, like you know it's Phil Collins when you hear him.
Yeah. You know. It's interesting, I think, with some of the bigger shows too, because I feel like once you get to like theater level, it's a little bit different as a musician because you're a little bit more removed from the audience.
They got that like big,
they got the barricade and stuff.
The pit.
I'm talking when you're in a box like the Belltown Yacht Club or the Sunset or something like that. And like I say, it may not be like a ton of people, but it's like
there's at least some people dancing.
Even just a full house show, you know, can be like that.
House shows are powerful. Poppin'. Like a house show in Bellingham, and like everyone's. Yeah. And like, you know, maybe like not everyone came there and they didn't come to necessarily like know your band, but they're dancing to you and they're having a good time, and that's like a memory. They
came out to have fun. You can't publicize them too much though, because sometimes it's against code. But you know, it's like,
I was really worried shows were like over for good. I was like, what's happening to the music scene? Like the Crocodile, I thought the Crocodile was closing. I think they're just moving their location.
They're just moving. They got a new one coming up. And I think, I mean, my theory on that is they were just like, well, if we're about to go for broke anyway, screw it. Yeah. Let's just like move and try this new one, and let's see if we can do this. And otherwise, it's time's up. But
it's iconic, but like, you know, new space could have new energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like worried about Seattle losing like its stuff though. Like Everyday Music just got shut down, and that was like, I feel like that really felt like a Seattle place, like the wood floors, and you could smell like the dust, and they got like the 25-cent VHS tapes. So I know there's like still stores like that in Seattle, but like I feel like it makes me want to go to them more because it's like I want to like support them.
What's your favorite record stores in Seattle?
I really like the one underneath the Neptune.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like you got to go into the stairs. It's great. You should definitely go. It's just the walls are filled with CDs, and I used to collect a lot of CDs in middle school.
Yeah.
Kind of changed once I got Spotify.
Those were the days, man.
You just listen to a whole album and you just sit down and listen to it.
That's still me because I have a CD player only in my car,
Word.
so I have so many CDs.
Okay.
I also like the Owl's video store. You know, they're also on the Ave. It's like they got videos, they got DVDs, they got games, and they also have like CDs. I also like, you know, like Easy Street is pretty great, or like Sub Pop is cool. I guess. Some of them are just mystery ones that I know the location, but I don't know the name.
So I'm trying to remember the name of one. It's on my Instagram for if you're listening to this, but I just posted it the other day because it was actually a coffee shop and candy store too that also just started selling vinyl. It was over in Ballard. God, why am I blanking on the name of it? I was literally just there yesterday to buy like the new Chris King vinyl because he posted it. It was so funny. Like Chris King posted on his Instagram that they had the new vinyl that was there. And as soon as I saw that on his IG, I went over to this place to go buy it, and they hadn't even put it out on the shelf yet. And this poor lady that was like already having to work barista that day, I think, was just like scrambling, trying to figure out like how much, you know, to sell it for or something. I felt kind of bad like when I went over, but like, you know, it was cool, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of places.
I think there's like Fat Cat Records also in Wallingford.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. They have shows in there.
Man, wow. Have they ever had shows in there? Because I live over by Wallingford. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I ever remember being at a show.
Yeah, I was there one day, and then they were like clearing all this space out, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And they're like, we have a show like every week.
Wow.
And I was like, I got to play a show here. And then the pandemic.
I'll play anywhere I can at this point. I don't care.
Yeah, I've played all kinds of weird random shows. Like I'll stand in the corner for 3 hours and play like this art show where you're drawing someone, and I'll just be in the corner. You can get paid $50.
There you go.
Why not?
Get it how you live. What's your favorite place to play in Seattle?
That's a hard question.
You can do a top 5 if you want.
I guess in terms of venues, I really like Neptune. That place is just like amazing.
You played at the Neptune Theater?
That was more for
Sorry.
I used to be in School of Rock.
Ah, okay.
So
word.
That
word.
was
Yeah, gotcha.
that was fun. Let's see, another place that I really liked was there. It's the, what's it called? It's like the old Rainier Brewery.
Yes.
Like the original one, not the one that has all the studios in it.
Okay.
But they have a really big space in there too, and that place is really cool.
Yeah.
Top 5. There's just been like a lot of good house shows too, of course.
Yeah,
and like I always like the decorations people put up and you're like, that's from the dollar store. But it looks really good under like this rainbow light.
So you have to throw in Fremont Abbey for sure.
Fremont Abbey is great. My friend actually threw a rave there, but then I still got to play my like SuperCoze stuff because they're like, well, downstairs we're gonna have like a separate thing.
Okay.
So that was definitely one of the most interesting shows I've played. I did play at it's like not the Hula Lounge, it's the Crescent Bar. I think it's the oldest gay bar in Seattle. It's like on Capitol Hill.
Why am I blanking on the name?
It's pretty cool. They got like a whole like karaoke set up there afterwards, and I mean I was technically still not 21 when I went there, but they just gave me a Sprite. I liked the.
We can edit this part out.
I liked the. Is it called the Blue Moon?
Blue Moon Tavern.
Yeah.
Blue Moon is really cool.
That was a good one.
That place is old.
Yeah.
Like it's got history.
It feels good in there to play.
Oh, it's so funny. I found out this is like a weird story with that, but I found out that Led Zeppelin played a concert at Green Lake Park in 1969.
Oh wow!
And I messaged. There used to be the Green Lake Aqua Theater. For anybody that's looked that up, it blew my mind when I found this out. I had no idea.
I just read about that.
Yeah, and it was amazing too. Like I don't know why they tore it down.
Cool.
It was crazy. I think I know why they tore it down because Zeppelin and the Grateful Dead played there in like 2 years. I'm pretty sure everybody in Wallingford was just like, we don't want these hippies playing rock and roll around here. Something like that. Yeah, like it was 1969. Go figure.
That's amazing.
But I messaged my dad because he was going to UW around then. And I'm like, were you at this show? And I got the most wholesome email back. It was amazing. He was like, no, I didn't go to the show. You know, I was recovering from Saturday night with my buddies. You know, $5 was a lot of money in those days. That's how much like the tickets costed to see Led Zeppelin in 69.
Wow.
You know, but this was back when you could like stuff yourself at IHOP for like $1.
Yeah.
You know, and college kids would drink like beers at the Blue Moon for like 30 cents and smoke
he was
joints
kicking
in the park.
himself over that.
I don't know if he was. I think my dad used to be in a Cream back in the day, but then he became like a classical guitar snob in college. So he sort of, I don't think he disowned rock and roll exactly, but you know,
I always ask my mom
as much. Yeah.
I'd be like, Mom, you were like in your 20s when all these grunge bands were playing. How did you not see these bands? And she was like, I don't know. I was working. It's like fair. That's fair. I mean, you were in Seattle, but fair.
And in those days, you know, you have to remember, it's like without seeing the videos on MTV or hearing the records and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just like any
on
other
the street.
You could find videos of like the Beatles' first shows, you know, where it's like people are there and it's just like 10 people just standing there with their arms folded, like pretty much any other local show. You know? I
mean, it's humbling. You're I feel like back to that whole like, oh, like 30 likes on Instagram, like that could be 30 people in a room. That's like a full house for some places. And you know, if someone's out there like listening to you and like enjoying your music, like that, at the end of the day, that's good. Like every artist has to start from somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of the music, let's take a break and check out this record. This first song is called Head in the Sand.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's play this. We'll be back here in a minute with an encore.
And then I say until the mood is revealing. And then I say, hey, hey, oh, let's make it a better day.
Eli, you got to tell your story, how you got up here from Florida. Because every time I meet somebody in Seattle from Florida. Like I grew up in Miami, and I will say that Seattle is as far away as I could possibly get from Miami while still being in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right across.
How describe that journey, please? I'm all in for this right now.
Well, so funny story. I was born in Washington, but when I was like 2, my family moved down. It was before 2, actually. I think I turned 2 on the road, down to Miami, and I was raised there. And you know, if for those who are from Miami, you know, it's tough, and it's Miami.
It's
so
a very weird place.
It's nice to visit, but to live is not cool. So I mean, I grew out of it, and like since I had roots here of my family anyway, I just came over here, and it's a different planet.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. I mean, though I am proud to be from the 305. But you know,
305.
the 305.
Shit.
Yep.
Pitbull.
Yep.
Secret South Florida people right
Yes.
here. Like, you have to say it like it's a secret, man. You don't want nobody up here judging
cryptic.
you, bro.
This is wholesome.
This is content.
I love this. So how did you get over here?
So long story short, I was never that kid that was going to be like hopping freight trains when I was young or something like that. So I really needed a good excuse to get out of South Florida, even though I grew up down there. I was a total black sheep growing up down there. But make a long story short, you know, after I graduated high school, I played music for a while and worked other jobs in South Florida. And I had a Bright Future scholarship. You'll probably remember this. And it's like, the last semester I could before it expired after high school, you know, so like use it or lose it basically. I went back to Miami-Dade College. I got my AA from Miami-Dade College. And then when I applied to all the other schools in Florida, because it was cheap, you know, I didn't have to pay any money to do that. FSU in Tallahassee, Florida State University, was like the first one to like take a chance on me. Like, hey, if you want to come up here and finish, at the time I was going to be an electrical engineering major. That didn't really pan out. But, you know, if you want to come up here and finish your prereqs, like go for it. And when I got that, I was just like, this is my chance. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
Oh yeah, you take any ticket you could get to get out of South Florida.
This is my ticket out of South Florida, right? This is my ticket out of this motherfucker. So, went up to Tallahassee. I actually ended up living in Tallahassee for about 7 years after that, because got done at FSU for cheap. And then after I got done at FSU, long story short, again, I had like a job and a girlfriend. So it's like I wasn't really like jonesing to get out of Tallahassee at that point. I was like, yeah, life's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like I just wanted to get to a bigger city, more opportunity. So I actually, me and the person I was with at the time, we ended up moving to Atlanta together. I lived in Atlanta for about 2 years after that. I had a gig at a place called the Dark Horse Tavern, playing drums in a live band karaoke night called Meddlesome. And I met the guys actually in Blade Palace, who I play with now, when I was still living in Tallahassee at open mic night down there that we all used to play at a lot. And they had moved out here to Seattle before that. But the whole time I was in Atlanta, like we all kind of kept in touch and stuff. And finally, after a year, it was like, have you found a drummer yet? Have you found a drummer yet? And it's like after a year and a half of that, I was just like, man, dude, like I just need to move up here and we need to do this, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, I put in my notice, you know, at the gig in Atlanta. My boss got it right away. You know, he's just like, yeah, go have fun, you know? And packed up all my stuff from Atlanta, drove across the country in the car here, and got to Seattle January 31st, 2018, and been up here doing my thing ever since. So
2018.
You moved here in 2018 also.
Yeah,
Shit.
this is wild. May 23rd.
Synchronicities.
May 23rd, 2018.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like a train across the United States. 4 days.
Man.
4-day train trip.
And it's
Dang.
and it's so cool. I mean, I'm getting so off topic, but it's just like if you meet somebody from Florida and they're up
that's
here,
rare.
it's like you too. Like
It's
you got
rare.
It's fun to watch the magic happening right now.
Gotta stick together.
Exactly, man. We made out here. You people in Seattle don't know how good you have it out here.
Yeah.
People complain about transit here, and I laugh.
And the complaints are legit. I'm not trying to, you know, downplay. Like I'm
It's
just
only
saying,
been the
but-
past like few years, honestly. Like I'm sure it has been worse for longer with the transit.
Yeah.
Plus you got gators.
The gators aren't the worst thing in Florida.
That's
not
facts.
the
That's
gators.
true.
I think I'd be excited to see a gator.
They're fun. I mean, they're really just to dispel the myth, like gators are not programmed to like eat humans.
Yeah.
Like
They're just
not-
like
not in
defending
Florida.
themselves, right?
Well, what happens is and this is like a educational lesson in Florida right here, but it's basically what happened is like if you put your foot at like the foot of a lake or a river or something like that, they think that you're like a deer, an egret, or something that they do eat. The problem is by the time they like bite and drag you under and they realize like, oh shit, like this is a human, like you've already drowned by that point.
Oh,
yeah.
So what should you do?
Just don't go near them.
Run zigzag. Run
Is
zigzag.
that actually a thing?
Yeah.
They can't run zigzag?
Their legs are so
I mean, they don't see, that's the thing is like you can approach them. They don't attack, like don't approach them as a general rule.
Like, will they attack you if they already have a good, like they can see you?
No, because they're just not programmed to like eat humans.
So it's just
basically.
in the water.
They're actually pretty chill. I mean, I was riding in Shark Valley. It's like a 14-mile trail. I was on my bicycle and there was a gator with its mouth open and a baby right next, like just right. And I didn't notice it. And there was this trolley passing by on my left side. And I was looking at the trolley and everyone was screaming and I was wondering why. And then I look and it's the gator. I'm like, well, snap.
Like a big...
with the mouth just ready.
Oh my God.
I was like, I mean, when you grow up down there, you just, it's like another dog or something.
Florida seems like another like planet. Like
Florida, Florida is like a weird, wild place that if you go back in the history, I mean, I know this is a little bit beyond the scope of the podcast, but if you get in the history of Florida, I mean, going back, it's like Florida is where everybody went hoping to find paradise, and then they get there and it's basically like a swamp that sucks. But in order to like try to make the best of it, they have to try and like spin it and hype it. Otherwise,
vacation.
Yeah. So it's like the first person that gets down there, they're just like, oh yeah, I mean, the beach is kind of cool, but like everything else here sucks. How do I make money here? Oh, I'm going to convince 10 more people to move down here.
Tourist industry.
Yeah, basically. And then the cycle goes on and on and on. It's like a big human pyramid scheme, basically.
Dang.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's the best way to describe it.
I love that you came here to do this today because I'm getting co-signed on all this now. It's like, it ain't just me, man.
Validation.
My only connection to Florida is I Facebook friended another person named Cody Choi.
Oh, wow.
We had like all these weird similarities. Like we both had a sister named Kayla, like all this stuff. And he lived in Florida, which is, I was like, you're as far away from Seattle as you could possibly be. And I was like, you're like my twin on all the way in Florida. You're the Florida Cody Choi. And that was and it was cool. We like stayed friends for a few years. We would like talk on the phone.
I'm not going to be able to go back to Florida after this podcast. Come on.
I was thinking that as we were talking. I was like, God damn it. Who's listening?
That's funny.
Nobody in Florida listens to rock and roll podcasts from Seattle. Unless I message him.
The one guy that does, and he's like, I'm right here.
He's like, fuck you, Nate. Talking bad. Talking shit.
Well, I'm glad you both made it out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, same.
Yeah,
I would have thought both of you have like the Seattle energy. Like I would have thought you would have been in Seattle your whole life. Same with Eli.
If there was such a thing, I mean, I know this isn't a thing, but like if there was such a thing as like being born, well, not born, but like brought up in just like the completely wrong place for like your personality type or like whatever. I mean, that was kind of me in South Florida, in some ways, I think. So, like I said, it was a journey to get past that, because I wasn't just going to like up and dip and run away from home. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't that ballsy, but it's like,
you adjust, being in a new place, like you grow to be in the environment, to thrive in this environment.
I get scared I'll be in Seattle my entire life sometimes. Like I've always been in Seattle.
There are worse fates.
I mean, I'll say that to some people. I'll be like, as jaded as some people get about Seattle, like I could be like, in the middle of nowhere.
Have you been anywhere else in America? Have you been anywhere else?
You could be in the middle of nowhere. At least we got like music out here.
Yeah, so yeah, it's one thing that I love about this place, and I love the energy out here. And like I say, when I was first out here, I was kind of struggling because I had to pay off a lot of like moving bills and stuff. So I really didn't have much of a chance to kind of get out and experience like the music scene to that degree. And plus like our band had just gotten together, so we weren't playing shows. It really wasn't until 2019 that, we like as in Blade Palace and stuff, it started playing shows around, and I was starting to get to know like the venues and the people and the music community here in general. And, you know, I guess with this podcast, if anything, you know, it's me trying to make it up for being so absentee that first year or two that I was out here just like working and doing my thing. And then when the pandemic, you know, came around, it's just like, man, like we all got to do stuff to try and bring this back, because it's been a really, really rough year for the music scene and just being a musician, any kind of creative in general. So, you know, the more we can do to do that, the better, I think. And again, you know, I want to thank you all today for coming on this podcast and sharing your time, your stories. And
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Where can people find more about y'all's music?
In terms of Bananigans, we don't have any recordings out yet since the band is only a month old. It's a little baby band. But I mean, we all have capability to record, so I'm sure we'll have something out soon. In terms of SuperCoze is on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. I use DistroKid, so it's on everything.
Yeah.
I am on Instagram, I think the most in terms of like releasing information, like and show dates and stuff. I tried to make a Facebook page, but like I don't really know how people keep their Facebook pages up to date with music.
Just on a side note, yeah, for the last like couple of years now, the reach, it's like unless you're willing to pay them,
I'm not giving Facebook money.
It's basically dead in the water at this point with Facebook. I don't even know why bands still have Facebooks at this point. I think my goal, like part of my goal with this whole thing is like doing this. It's just like, could I just make it so that no artist ever has to be on social media again, unless they want to be?
That would be nice. Just have the fun parts.
Yeah. Just, you know, anyways.
And, I have a solo project. It can be found at classicelishamusic.com. So, yeah.
Rock on.
Classic Elisha.
And, the latest record, Rainy Day Sunshine, like that's out. That's on Spotify, everywhere else. New music on the way.
I am in the works of releasing a single, actually. I haven't like really, this is the first thing of me saying it, but I did write a song that I was pretty happy with the other month. And that was like, I've been in like songwriting for like a while. So I was like, it's happening. It's a thing, but I want to like, and I like recorded the whole thing myself, which is like new for me. So I wanted to make sure it was like sounding good before I get it out. But I want to do it right this time. Like I feel like I released the album and I just was a little like confused on how to do the whole process and like getting like reviews. And this time I want to do it like right. I'm going to actually post about it more than just 2 times. I think I posted twice about that. I mean, I posted a little more, but like after it was out, I'm like, I don't want to annoy people. And then I'm learning like, be a little bit annoying. Like put it at least a little bit of like, hey, listen to my thing, please. No one's going to be mad at me. If they are, then
You've got at least one radio station that'll play it no matter what.
Yeah, thank you.
Cody, Eli, thanks again for coming on today.
Thank you.